What's going on, guys? Welcome into another episode of the Ask Tony Show. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Today, we have some awesome real estate questions. I've been getting a lot lately. There's a lot of things going on in the market. People are a little bit freaked out. So let's dive into those questions and see what's really up.
What's the deal with interest rates?
So interest rates, I've been telling you guys for months. Scroll through my Instagram. You can see posts 6 months ago, 8 months ago. I've been telling you guys that rates were going to go up. This is something that we knew was going to happen. So it's not a surprise, even though for a lot of people, it's kind of surprised them. Everybody knew that this was going to happen. They told us it was going to happen last year. The Fed said that they were going to raise rates 3+ times in 2022. So this is not a surprise, guys. Now, there's a couple of different ways that you can look at this. There's the historical perspective, and then there's the short-term perspective, okay? So if you take it from the historical perspective, guys, interest rates are still historically low. Even if they're in the 4s, that's still very, very good. So if you look back at what interest rates were in the 90s, in the 80s, in the 70s, they were way higher, 6, 7, 8, 12% mortgages. That's just real. Look it up. I'm not making that up. Those are facts. That's data. So when you put it in that perspective, you realize that 4.5 is actually still very, very good. So I know that it causes a lot of kind of not so much frustration, but kind of a lot of fear because we're so used to very, very low interest rates for the last 4 or 5 years. We're kind of spoiled, if you will, of always being in the 3s. At some point, even the high 2s. My interest rate at my home is a 2.75, which is crazy. So we're kind of used to that. So now that we're seeing the spike, people are freaking out. So my recommendation is, true, it does make a difference. I'm not going to sit here and say that it doesn't matter. It does matter. And the jump from a 3.5 to a 4 to a 4.25 is going to make a difference in your monthly payment. Maybe $50, $75, $100 a month. So that does make a difference. It does reduce your buying power somewhat. But I think that the proper way to look at this is that historically, interest rates in the 4s are still very, very good. So the key is to not let it freak you out, to not let it keep you out of the market if you still want to buy. Now, inventory is so low, the market is so hot, there's so many offers per listing. Why? And I say this time and time again, why is there so much competition? Because it's still a good idea to buy. It's still a good investment, even at 4.5%. So try to keep it in that perspective and don't look at it from the other perspective, which is the short term of saying, it was 3.75 4 months ago. Now it's 4.25. So I'm just not going to do it because that's just stupid. Remember, guys, historically, interest rates in the 4s are still very, very, very low.
ITIN Loans, fact or fiction?
So ITIN loans are fact. They've always been fact, but it's been very difficult to access them. So typically, prior to the last couple of months, if you did not have a social security number, if you just had your ITIN and your tax ID, you had to bring anywhere between 25 to 35% down to be able to make the loan work. That's a lot of money. If you're talking about a home that is $400,000, which now that's an average home, you're looking at $100,000 plus. So that made it very difficult for most people to be able to access those kinds of programs because the requirement was just way too high. But even then, some people were able to do it. We closed ITIN loans over the last couple of years. So it is fact. So people with an ITIN number can purchase real estate. Now, what has happened over the last 2 months, 3 months, is that there is one lender, at least for now, that I know of. Okay. So the disclaimer here, as always, is I am not a lender. Okay. So my lender buddies, relax. I'm going to put this disclaimer somewhere at the beginning of every show because I get DMs that I'm not a lender. So for specific info on rates, on programs, on qualifications, reach out to a licensed mortgage professional. Okay. I got to put that out there. But with that being said, to my knowledge, right now, there is one lender that can do ITIN loans with 5% down, okay? That I know, they're the only ones. I know that there are other lenders that are working on different programs. I've heard 10%, I've heard 15% kind of thrown around there. But right now, that have a viable program that is up and running, it's just one lender. And so it can be done 5% down. So if you have someone, or if you yourself have an ITIN number and you haven't been able to purchase real estate previously, now's the time. Okay. Now is the time. Now, with that being said, those programs are most likely going to have higher interest rates, but it doesn't matter, right? You don't have to bring $100,000 down. And so it is fact. It is happening. And in my opinion, it's going to get more and more prevalent as time goes on.
If I'm under contract on a new build and don't want to use my agent anymore, what can I do?
So this is a tough question because every situation is different. Okay. Every builder is different. Every agent relationship is different. And so I kind of want to tackle this from two angles. Number one, from your angle, the consumer angle of if you do not feel comfortable with your agent anymore, you can always, undo that relationship. So if you have a contract, you can cancel the contract. You can have that conversation. If you're already under contract for a new build, you can talk to the builder, see what can be figured out. In most cases, they're probably still going to be paid a commission because they brought you there. They did the initial work. And so most likely, in most cases, they are still going to be paid a commission. Once you're under contract, it's very difficult for them not to get paid. So from that angle, it's probably stuck. But if you legitimately don't feel comfortable with this individual, what I would recommend for you to do is to have a conversation with them. So I'll take it from the consumer perspective of sometimes you got to do what you got to do, right? And if you don't feel good, if you don't feel comfortable, if there was some sort of situation, address it. And if that relationship needs to come to an end, then it needs to come to an end. But that being said, now I want to kind of be an advocate for agents. Most agents, not all agents, there are some asshole agents out there, but most agents are good people. They're good folks. They genuinely want to help you, but maybe there's a communication gap. Maybe there's a skills gap. Maybe they're newer. There's just so many different factors. But from what I have seen, most realtors are good folks. They really have a passion for what they do. They want to help people succeed. And so I would recommend to you to have a conversation with your agent. Just simply let them know how you're feeling. Again, was there something that wasn't communicated? Was there something that maybe they could improve on? Hopefully they didn't actually get you into contractual trouble. But I feel like in most cases, instead of just telling you, yeah, dump your agent and call me, because I can't legally do that, by the way, but just try to have a conversation with them. Try to talk it out. Most agents, they want to do a good job. They want to please you because a lot of this business goes off of referrals. So they want to please you. They want to do a good job. They want to make sure that you're happy. But sometimes they either just don't know, maybe they don't have the proper support on the back end, or there's maybe something that they should have been clear on and they probably weren't. So agents make mistakes, no doubt. Agents make mistakes. What I try to do sometimes with the show and when I coach agents is to try to not make those mistakes very costly because they can cost you money. But I think the overarching premise is most agents are good folks. Most agents are good people. I know dozens and dozens and dozens of agents, and they work very hard for their clients. And so have a conversation with them and try to figure it out.
What is the difference between owning a brokerage and being a broker?
It's completely different. It is completely night and day. And I'm just early, right? I'm in the opening stages of starting my brokerage / agency or whatever you want to call it, but it's completely different. And I've actually grown to appreciate much more the brokers that I was at before because now I got to take care of everything. Right? Everything, I mean, things that I didn't even have to think about before of HR and systems and insurance and liability stuff and accounting stuff and website, like so many different things that I didn't have to do before. Licenses with the government, make sure that our business is in good standing, make sure that the bank accounts are the way that they need to be. Like all those things that have to be taken care of in a real estate company. And so before when I was just a broker, or just an agent, I just focused on the clients. I just focused on helping them and I was 100% in there. Now I'm kind of in this transitionary period where I got to also take care of all of these other things while still providing the best possible service. And so it's completely different. And anybody that has started a company will understand this, that when you are the last line of defense, it's another thing entirely. Like there's just so much more responsibility because there's not an owner. Like I don't have someone now that I can turn to and say, hey, what do we do? Right? I'm in charge of the operation. And so it's completely different, but I love the process and I couldn't be more excited to get this company off the ground because I believe that I can do it. Honestly, I believe that we're going to do things a little bit differently. I believe that, kind of the concepts that I have handled and shared can really make a difference in the market. But those are the main differences. Now, there's nobody to save me.
Can I join your team? Pretty please?
So I'm so grateful to all of you guys because I've gotten this question probably 2 or 3 dozen times through DM. Thank you guys. I'm honestly so honored that anybody would want to join my team, that would want to join my real estate company. And so number one, with a bullet, thank you. Thank you for even considering me as an option. There's so many other brokerages out there, big companies, tremendous teams that do very, very well. So the fact that you would even consider me as your broker, mentor, coach, or whatever the case is incredibly humbling. Thank you so much. With that being said, I am now in the very early stages of starting my agency. Okay. So right now, this moment, this day, what is it? February 15th, 2022. I am not bringing on new agents just yet. Why? Because I want to make sure that everything is perfectly ready. I want to make sure that all the processes are in place, that everything is ready and set to go so that when agents come in, we're ready, right? I don't want to bring somebody in when I'm still trying to figure everything out, sort everything out, and have it be something that is not formal. So my goal is to grow my team to bring agents, but when the agency is ready and mature enough to bring agents and give them the resources that they need. And so I'm very patient with this process. I know that it's going to take time, but my goal is to get there. But right now, if I'm being perfectly honest with you guys, I'm just not there yet.